Good evening, everybody. I personally feel today is the day of economist. And why I say day of economist? The morning I got up, I heard that today is the birthday of great economist Dr. Manmohan Singh. Well, so then I was reminded that today we are having a webinar, none other than Professor Lalan, and then he is an economist. So it is a day dedicated to economists. So, okay. And then I was looking at Dr. Manmohan Singh was born on 26 September 1932, and Lalan Saab date of birth is 29 September 1939. So, few days in advance, we can give him the happy birthday greetings also. Uh, if we look at the day today, it's very important. It's not a regular day. It's my habit. Sometime when I start some day, I look into the history. This was a day, if I go back in 1786, 1785, a trade link was started. These new, we are talking of economics. A trade link between USA, UK, and France was started during those days. So how ancient is the economics? In India, we have got the Kautilya Shastra, and Professor Saab was the president of Kautilya Foundation. So who else will know better than him? And then if I look at the modes of trade, be it water or be it air, on this day in 1930, the first boat in the Panama Canal was raised. And if we see the first aircraft, jet aircraft on this day, crossed the English Channel. So this is a very auspicious day that we are starting this webinar on talking on powering public enterprises, revisiting and the communication strategy, because communication is predominantly the link between whatever we do. And Professor Dr. Lalan is not only a professor of management, he is a full-fledged law professional also. He obtained his LLB and he did his PhD in management. And he headed the department. He had been the dean of business economics at Delhi University. And he held various positions, be it at director level, vice chancellor level. And I was looking at that time when we were struggling for our studies or admission. At that time, he was at the apex of the position at Delhi University. Between 74 and 2004, he was really a shining star so far as the academics at Delhi University is concerned. He is a gold medalist from BHU, and he was born in Varanasi. And then above that, you see, you are working in your own institution, you rise in that. But when you start shining across the neighbors, and then you start shining across the globe, then it means that there is something different in you. Be it Moscow, be it USA, be it Canada, be it China, Netherlands, Paris, you name a country where he has not visited and delivered his lecture. So we are proud to have him here. And within the country, Punjabi University, Guwahati University, APG Institute of Technology and Management, Jaipuria University, and then World Bank projects, which he has steered with their own hands. And as I mentioned, Kautilya Shastra has become more meaningful in today's context. This pandemic has really shaken the world. All those things which we had forgotten, which we had started giving, belittled them, they are becoming more important. So that is one reason I must compliment Dhawan Saab, who has a vision and who has an experience and exposure, because he has been sitting at the hub of public sector activities. Scope is a den of activities over the public sector is concerned, and he knows everybody. That is Dhawan Saab's experience and expertise, and he identified Lalan Prasadji. And I will request Dhawan Saab to dwell some background, something which happened in your mind that made us to decide a webinar of today. Over to Dhawan Saab. You can activate your mic, and then we will continue. And while Dhawan Saab comes online, may I request everybody, we will continue with this. And once we hand over the mic to Professor Saab, he will deliver his address about in the next 25 to 30 minutes, and we will take question and answer. We got that standard model because our client is like that. We welcome interaction. So please, whenever you're recording in the chat, you must mention question. Other chat should be identifiable separately as a question. You must mention question, and then I got Shubham and Akshat who will keep a tab on questions, and they will start standardizing the question. Over to Dhawan Saab.
Thank you, Baba Saab. Friends, today public sector is much more maligned sector. This is in spite of its impressive performance, productivity, and contribution to socio-economic development of our country. In financial terms, in 2018 and 19, 348 public sector enterprises with an investment of 16.41 lakh crore earned a net profit of 1.42 lakh crore. Their turnover is 24.40 lakh crore, which is 13% of India's GDP. Their contribution to central exchequer is marvelous, that is 3.69 lakh crore by way of dividend, duties and taxes. If we just add their contribution of last 5-6 years, it surpasses the total investment made by government in public sector enterprises. Although the sector has emerged as one of the prime contributors to economic success story of our country, many public enterprises have become globally competitive, taking on new challenges of open competition and giants. PSEs are symbol of management excellence and have place of pride in the hierarchy of corporate India. The image of public sector remains poor and do not commensurate with the socio-economic development created by the sector. There have been many reasons. Instead of going in all the reasons, I would just point out two major reasons. First is that the government has not paid the attention as an honor of public sector enterprises. Number two is management of public enterprises have been late in realizing the importance of image management. We can understand the reasons. There have been bureaucracy interfering, ministers interfering, government also interfering, all that. But really the managements have also been very late in realizing the importance of image management. Now scenario is changing very fast as Maharatna, Navaratna, Mini Ratna public enterprises are actively taking steps in this direction and are revisiting their communication strategies, keeping in mind not only their major shareholder, that is government, but also other shareholders, stakeholders, and now also concentrating on general public, that is image building of their organizations. Hence, we chose the topic, powering public sector enterprises, revisiting communication strategies. With regard to the powering of public sector enterprises, managements are taking steps to make their organizations globally competitive by reforming, expanding, diversifying, and assimilating advanced technologies and latest management models and systems. On the part of the government, what is required is empowerment of the managements of public enterprises to take decisions based on sound corporate governance practices and business lines. Without empowerment of the government, powering of public enterprises is not possible. Looking around an eminent person to address the session and guide us, we could not find any better management expert than Professor Lalan Prasad ji. Babaji has already spoken about his brilliant, illustrious academic and professional career. My acquaintance with Professor Lalan Prasad ji goes back, way back from mid 80s, when 1980s, when we in Scope launched an essay competition among university students all over India. It was a PR exercise with the purpose to encourage students to know the public sector enterprises, their contribution and performance, etc. The competition was organized in association with Department of Business Economics, Delhi University, which was headed by Professor Lalan Prasad ji at that time. He and his team were our academic support and judges to evaluate the entries. Professor Lalan Prasad is author of many books and research papers. They are published in many journals of repute. He has been contributing research-based articles both about management of public enterprises in India and SOEs, state-owned enterprises, which is known abroad mostly, which is also called public enterprises in India. So he has been contributing articles in Kaleidoscope. He has contributed many articles in Kaleidoscope also. Lalan Prasad ji is not only noted researcher, scholar, economist, philosopher, statesman of modern management system, but also ancient Indian culture and philosophy. He has presented a research paper on Kautilya's Arthashastra in World Sanskrit Conference and gave a seminar, The Ancient Economic Model and its Relevance to Good Governance at Hindu University in America. Now, I request Babaji to take forward the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhawan Saab. Dhawan Saab himself is a very high-profile academician, and he has been steering conferences, seminars of national and international years. And we know that days when we used to get special permission from Dhawan Saab when a conference used to be organized in Vigyan Bhavan. So good. Thank you, Dhawan Saab. Thank you very much. Many more members have joined now, and we have got 40 plus. And I will request, while Professor Saab will continue, please keep a watch on the waiting room and start accepting anybody quickly whosoever comes. And for the common benefit and knowledge of everybody, today's session is being conducted under Banyan Tree. And most of our members are aware our flagship program Banyan Tree. Flagship program Banyan Tree is we bring all those programs which are full of resource, which are full of content, and the knowledge being shared is out of the box. So this program is under Banyan Tree. With this all, I will now request Professor Lalan Prasad ji to take over and bless us all with their wisdom. Over to you, Professor Saab. Please activate.
Thank you, Babaji. Thank you, Dhawan Saab, for very kind introduction that you have given. It's a very important topic that you have chosen for today. And let me thank all the members of Banyan Tree to be here and given me opportunity to speak to you. Well, I would like to start with Kautilya himself. A famous sloka of Kautilya is that Sukhasya Moolam Dharma, Dharmasya Moolam Artha, Arthasya Moolam Rajya. The root of happiness is Dharma. Dharma doesn't mean religion. Dharma means doing one's own duties, as it has been given in Bhagavad Gita. So Sukhasya Moolam Dharma, Dharmasya Moolam Artha. And the root of all religion or all dharma is in the earth. And Arthasya Moolam Rajya. And root of all earth is in the state. In other words, it is the responsibility of the state to create wealth, to generate more wealth for the nation, and to maximize the welfare of the people. So the state's responsibility, as Kautilya says, is that Sukhasya Moolam Dharma, Dharmasya Moolam Artha, Arthasya Moolam Rajya. So how to maximize the welfare of the state, welfare of the people by using the resources in an optimum manner. But at the same time, he also says that when you are using these resources in optimum manner, you have no reason to destroy resources. In the sense, the resources have to be used in a sustainable manner so that they can continue. So what scientists today talk about sustainable management, Kautilya talked it about 2,500 years back. And he specified the role of state in economy for the first time. What is the role that the state has to play? You see, the Chandragupta was the creation of Kautilya. And you know that famous story, a shepherd boy was playing with his friends in a field somewhere, and he was the king and the other children were subjects. So what happened that, and Chandragupta built the biggest empire. He built the biggest empire in India. It was called the golden period of Indian history. The economic activities during Chandragupta period was in the hands of the government. In fact, most of the enterprises were government-run enterprises those days. And the officers who were appointed by the state, they were given specific duties. And I can just name a few important officers of the state who were running the management those days. They were Sutradhyaksh, Sitadhyaksh. Sitadhyaksh means those who manage agriculture. Sutradhyaksh, those who manage the textile industry. Swarnadhyaksh, those who manage manufacture of ornaments, gems and jewelry. There were Panayadhyaksh who used to manage business and so on and so forth. All business and economic and say manufacturing activities were organized by the state. They were run and controlled by the state. And the state had to see that there is no pilferage, there is no corruption, and there were very severe punishment given for any type of activity which was detrimental to the economy of the country and the state as such. So Kautilya, as you know, he is also known as the greatest political strategist of the world. And his position was same as Aristotle's position in Alexander's court was there. Kautilya was in the court of Chandragupta Maurya, his guiding force, his guide and everything. Now, let me come to importance of the public sector in the present scenario. There is a misnomer if some people or many people talk that the public sector has withered, or that the importance of public sector is no more in the economy of the world. If I give you the figures, I think this type of misconception will be over. Over 1/5 of the market capitalization in the world is still in the hands of public sector. And some of the biggest enterprises in the world are owned by the government. Particularly if you see, for instance, the utilities, public utilities, electricity, water, gas, broadcasting, and many other things. Not only this, manufacturing of the aircraft, manufacturing of the rail, road construction, and things of this nature. Some of the things which are very basic and fundamental to economy, they are owned by the state throughout the world, even by the capitalist country. And the total share of the public sector in the world economy is substantially higher even now, even after privatization and globalization, which started in 1970s and which have been happening there. But the importance of public sector remains there, and it is going to be there in future also, because the way in which the capital has been misused by private sector undertakings throughout the world has also given a lesson to the world leaders that to some extent public undertakings are inevitable for any economy, for the development of any economy. Now, size of public enterprises, as Dhawan Saab also mentioned, for instance, in India. I remember that when public sector started in 1951, there were only 5 public undertakings in India. Only 5. And the total investment at that time was 29 crore of rupees. Only 29 crores. And the industries were in their public sector, they were Indian Railways, Post Office, Port and Trust, and broadcasting and things like that. But today, the total investment in public undertakings is more than 16 lakh of rupees, and there are about 348 crores, 348 units in public enterprises under the central government alone. There are large number of undertakings in the state governments also. So size of public undertaking has been growing, and it is likely to go substantially in future also, because building of infrastructure is not complete, and it's a process which is a long run. And in India, we are much behind in that respect. So in any case, public sector is a growing sector in this country also. And I must say that India is one of the countries where even after 70 years, public sector has sustained and public sector is continuing. So friends, there is no doubt that public sector is still strong, it is still a growing sector, and it is a sector which is needed for the economy. Now let me come to communication strategy. See, the basic task of people who are in charge of the communication is to disseminate right information at right time to the right people. Are we able to do it? Is public enterprise able to disseminate information which creates the image which is required? And I think that is where the public sector has been lacking. In our policy makers, in the people who matter in the government, probably there has been a misconception that this has been an underperforming sector and it should be gradually wiped out. Gradually it should be closed, and the investment should be diverted to other sectors of the economy. This type of impression has been created for a long time, and the result has been disinvestment of many enterprises in different parts of the world and also in India. Disinvestment has been taking place. Now, how to see that this process is reversed? Now, let me tell you that there has been a very drastic change in approach towards the communication in different parts of the world. And the most important change has been that earlier the communication was supply oriented. Today it is demand oriented. Now, what do we mean by supply oriented and what do we mean by demand oriented in terms of communication? See, earlier you were behind the press people, giving them press releases, calling press meeting, hosting them dinners and drinks and things of this nature, and trying to see that you are listened and your news is published and your news is published. Now, today the scenario is different. It's a demand-oriented market. The newsmen from television, the newsmen from newspapers and from different, the correspondents, they are behind you to get the news. And many times, even if you don't give any news, if something wrong goes on in your factory, what happens? In seconds time, the newspaper or the TV people come to know, even if you have not informed them. Because people have got mobiles, they will be just informing the channels, they will just informing the press people, and people will come at your doors and start asking questions, and it will be difficult for you to handle it immediately. So from a supply-oriented approach to communication, the world has gone to a demand-oriented approach in this field. And it's very critical because you have to be alert all the time and ready to reply anything which is damaging, anything which is against you, and things of this nature. So the task of people who are in PR, in public relations and in the communication sector, it's a very difficult job. They have to be very alert. They have to be ready to reply the things in time and so on. Earlier, what used to be, what Harold Lowell said that who says what in which channel to whom with what effects. That was very, very important. Today, it's not exactly like this. Today, what this wants, what television wants, because you know, they have a tendency to collect the news और फिर उसमें मिर्च मसाला लगा के और फिर वो पब्लिक के सामने पेश कर देंगे और इसके पहले कि आप कुछ कर सकें आपकी एक इमेज बना दी जाएगी टेलीविजन पर। अभी आप क्या देख रहे हैं कि जिन लोगों को सीबीआई इंटरोगेट कर रही है उनकी गाड़ियों के पीछे पीछे तक आपके करस्पॉन्डेंट टीवी वाले और उनके घर से लेकर और सीबीआई ऑफिस तक पहुंच जाते हैं। तो ये जो टेंडेंसी है ये डिमांड ओरिएंटेड न्यूज़ की है जो पहले नहीं थी, पहले इस तरह की बातें नहीं थी, पहले लोगों को के पीछे पीछे भागना पड़ता था। बट टुडे दे आर बिहाइंड यू टू गेट द न्यूज़ एंड टू क्रिएट ए इमेज which you may like, which you may not like, and you have to be alert and you have to give reply to them. Now, the other thing which have drastically changed is the media itself. Now, you don't have limited media today. Earlier it was press, it was radio. Today, the television is there. Today, the social media is there. WhatsApp is there. Internet is there. Today, you can have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have so many social media outlets and so on and so forth. And the latest development today is about the artificial intelligence. Many of the things which could have never been thought over that have been created by the artificial intelligence. On the television, on your mobile, your voice can be recognized today. And you can just to give instruction to your mobile to find out some information, to collect some information, to analyze some information, to report you, to plan for you. All these things can be done by that machine itself. So the simulation of human mind into machine is a very important creation of the present century. And this way we find that the virtual meeting, the webinars, the things of this nature which are happening today, these have added strength, I should say, to the communication in all possible ways, in making dissemination of information very quick, so much quick that one could never imagine at the speed of light your information is traveling today. Some of the bottlenecks which we had in communication system in past, they are going out. And we have a vast area open to search the things, to make analysis, to plan out, and to make a synthesis of the whole thing and then report it and so on. That way, media has changed the entire scenario, and we have to look into in what way we can best use that media, not only confining to press releases and press notes and press meetings, but to actually having a liaison with this vast source which is available to us. Because many times a single man can distort your entire image on the Twitter or on Facebook or on any social media. He writes something and millions of people in minutes come to know about that. So how to safeguard the interest of the company and how to report, that has become very important. The other thing that I would like to say is that the communicator in public sector, they have important role to see that society is closely linked to them, and that they promote social welfare on the one hand, and also involve people from society in their work. Because unless you involve people, you cannot have proper communication, you can't have effective communication. And public sector has been doing quite efficiently in this regard. In social welfare activities, they have been involving, and they have been making people to involve in that. Some examples, for instance, I could locate for, say there was a girl empowerment mission, for instance, by NTPC, in which more than 400 girls were involved. involved, and they were told about the quality of life, discipline, uh, and the importance of education and things of this nature. Their parents were also involved. The Central Coalfield Ranchi organized sports. Uh, it has given grants for sports, stadium and things of this nature, and several thousand students are involved in the activities, in the sport activities because of that. Or for instance, Bharat Petroleum Corporation, they started quiz competition in 2018, and uh, about 1,200 people participated in that, and it was a grand success. So these are the type of activities where public sector has been involving itself and trying to make up with the society, to educate society, to involve people in society and so on. Then I was saying something about advertisement and public relations. Now, what is more important? Your advertising is more important these days, or public relations is more important? There are a lot of academic discussions on this also. And some people say that public relation is sun, advertising is wind. Uh, Now, whether it is true or the other way it is true, it is for you to see. But the point is that advertising is as strong tool as public relations. And many times, a lot of frauds are also committed on advertising. I know there have been cases when a company don't have any position to fill up, but it will give a big advertisement in the paper, and the managerial position, executive position, so this much of high salary and that much of importance is given to the advertisement, and but they are not going to recruit a single person. So this type of fraud is also committed by advertising. Advertising can be used as a tool to promote you to, if you make a mistake, to do it. Similarly, your public relations is also a tool which is to create a good image for you, and a single mistake can create a bad image for you. So how to control the situation and how to educate your people that they perform best in any given situation. Then a very important task of communicators in public sector is to uh, see how the emergencies are cancelled, how the emergencies are uh, tackled. Recently, the COVID-19 has come, and large number of people have been affected in this country and throughout the world. Now, during this period, I could see some reports of public enterprises and found that marvelous job has been done by public sector in terms of creating infrastructure for hospitalization, in terms of distribution of masks, in terms of educating people and things of this nature. These are the type of activities which we suppose public sector should do more efficiently, because that makes you, or that uh, takes you nearer to the public and nearer to the authorities, and you get a good impression and so on. Now, what has been wrong with the public sector as such and with the communication, this we have to examine. See, the problem is not only in India, it has been worldwide. Public undertakings have been criticized for underperforming everywhere. And that has been the reason that they have been disbanded in many places. Now, in what sense they have performed badly? If the profitability is the only criteria, then yes, public sector has not given that high rate of profit which the private enterprises have given. But public enterprises gave something much more than what private enterprises could give in any country in the world. For instance, I remember when the public enterprises started in India, a large number of townships came in this country, where houses were built, where roads were built, where electricity was provided, water was provided for all workers, for all managers, and for officers, and for all personnel. The whole structure was created, a new structure was created along with the manufacturing unit and the manufacturing started by them. So public sector from the very beginning have been very sincere to its social responsibility. and its responsibility towards workers, towards public at large. And profitability cannot be only criteria on which public sector has to be done. This image somehow has not been created. And that is the reason, that is one reason why the policy makers and public is not very much interested at times in growth of public sector as such. So we have to see that our media people, our people who handle the media, they try to create such impression in the public as to what really the objective of our enterprise is, and to what extent we have been able to meet those objectives. It's all, as Peter Drucker has said, management has to be management by objective, where he gave example of the elephant and 6 blind men, and a person touching the tail says the elephant is like a tail, a person touching the eye says elephant is like an eye. So that our authorities, that the people who handle the public relations, who handle the communication, they should also be not concerned with the things which are one-sided or which take a very narrow outlook of the things. If any event happens, it may have many aspects, and all those aspects have to be examined, and those have to be reported properly, so that a good image of the enterprise goes to. So it has to be a management by objectives which have to see. Now, what Don Saab has said, and rightly, that how to empower public sector now, or what Babaji has said, that repowering public sector, so that public sector is able to have that type of communication strategy which is required in the present context. See, the government has started NEP, the new education policy. Now, public sector can involve itself in a big way in this new education policy. The broad theme of the present policy is that education has to be research oriented. Education has to be oriented towards finding new things and assimilating those things in life, in activities, in enterprises, and so on and so forth. It is not going to be like what we say, used to say कि lesson select लिए और इसके बाद pass हो गए, अब उस तरह का education नहीं होना है. The new orientation will be very helpful to public enterprises, and public enterprises should try to educate their managers, their workers, the people involved in different type of activities, in the new style of learning, and in the objectives with which these the new techniques are to be used, the new methods are to be used, and the education has to be provided. So one aspect of empowering is going with the new education policy, training your people so that they can manage in much better way than what I would do. One thing I would like to say, one thing I would like to say, that in terms of HRD, public sector has done well. And as you can see, I've been watching 2 years, that a large number of public enterprise managers, executives, and people at very senior level, and engineers and technicians, they have been going to private sector. So public sector has been a training ground for managerial personnel in this country, and this is the fact. You have seen P.L. Tandon and people like that who migrated from the public sector and made a big name in private sector. Public sector has been doing its job of HRD, and I think that job has to be done more effectively. The other thing is that public sector has to be more conscious about management of the capital, management of the fund. I think this is where public sector has not been able to do it that efficiently as most private enterprises do. With the same amount of investment, private investors or private companies, they are able to give better return than public enterprises. Apart from the fact that public enterprises has been spending a lot on social responsibility, That's there, no doubt. But that remaining, there is a scope for public sector to improve its financial performance, and for that the management of financial activity have to be taken very seriously, and has to be done to repowering the public enterprise in this country. Now, I can see that the future of public sector is good. I am optimistic always about that, because I have seen the trend of the historical trend as to how the public sector has grown and what type of benefit the country has from the public sector. In fact, I should say in the end that public sector is sitting on the gold mine. If authorities in the government, they want to disband it, they will be losing this gold mine, because the amount of wealth public sector has created and the amount of wealth it owns now, as Dhawanji has said, that 13% of GDP comes from public sector. So we have to make public sector a living sector, a sector which is going up and which is serving the economy in a better way. And for that reason, we have to repower this sector so that our economic future may be more shining, it may be better. With these words, I would like to end up, and I will be glad to answer any question from the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Saab. Thank you, Professor Saab.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You have really brought such a climax in the whole scenario, that the public sector is sitting on the gold mine. And if we are sitting on the gold mine, तो लुटेरे भी ज़्यादा दूर नहीं है, बहुत नजदीक ही बैठे हुए हैं हमारे.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
So, Professor Saab, in the whole set of questions, the main questions are on disinvestment. दिनेश जी मेरी बात सुन रहे हैं? अगर दिनेश जी, अगर आप अनम्यूट करके अपना क्वेश्चन खुद पूछ लें. दिनेश जी और दीपा जी, दो क्वेश्चन एकदम डायरेक्टली डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट पर हैं. दिनेश जी सुन रहे हैं? दीपा जी ने तो
Can I speak?
Please.
जी.
Dr. Lalan Prasad ji, I am very happy to listen to your discourse on PSU and the communication department's role. Not the question, but a point of discussion was that when only 4 strategic PSUs are going to remain in India, what is the condition of public relation for them? Number one. Number two, is there a necessity to tell the government that what they are doing is suicidal? Because what I understand from your talk is that PSUs have tremendously contributed to the development of India, which we know, and now they are being disbanded. So, would you favor this argument to the government?
See, in many countries it has happened where some of the good enterprises were disbanded and they were denationalized. Government has to face a lot of problems. In England itself, for instance, when British Rail was denationalized, till this time the British government has been facing problems. Hello.
Could everybody please keep mute? I will come to each and every question one by one, and I just give the order in which I noted the question. Prakash Kumari, I read your question. Next, I will take your question social media. Umesh Mehta ji, I have gone through your question on after pandemic, and Bansal sir, your question. In this order, I will call you, and the rest, please keep waiting, and your raised question, I will call you. Thank you. Over to Professor Saab.
Yes. What I was telling that in many countries where they experimented with dismantling some of the big enterprises in public sector, later they had to repent, and they have to undo also in some cases. In India, I must say that the thinking which is going on that only some industries will be allowed to remain in public sector and the other will be disbanded. Probably this may be suicidal, I must say, because it's too early to think in that term. Our economy has not grown in private sector to that extent that we can dismantle the public sector and even then we can remain an efficient economy.
Just give an example.
Yes.
This is about DMRC. You see, the airport line project was given to Mr. Anil Ambani, who is in a private sector.
Yes.
And he did not construct it in time, number one. Then there were cracks in the construction. And then finally he refused to operate the whole thing when he wanted it in his name. And finally the DMRC had to go in.
There are numerous examples also.
Yes.
If we really see that now the government is saying that airports, Air India will be privatized.
Yeah.
And when the COVID is there, the government suddenly brings the public sector in force, and public sector does that duty. And then government says that, yes, we are waiting, we will try to revive. And then you see this the privatization system was started quite a long back, nearly 25 years. And these 25 years, we are seeing what is really happening, how many public enterprises have been closed. If we really see, the number of public enterprises have grown much more.
Yes.
It is now 348.
Yes.
And the CAGR with which the public sector enterprises are increasing is nearly 2% every year. So saying and doing has some difference. Policy changes have been made by government from time to time. Every government comes and have its own policy and all that. But suddenly, then they have to drop. So all these things we cannot say that this all can be done suddenly and in short period.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Thank you, Dhawan Saab, and thank you, Dinesh ji. We know that disinvestment is a very sensitive subject, and particularly I know it is very close to the heart of Dinesh ji. He had handled upfront this subject from both from the HR front as well as from the other aspects of the corporate. So we will leave it here, and we will have a separate session on that. Over to Prakash Kumar ji. You can ask your question concerning social media impact in this regard. You can take up your question.
Okay,
yourself,
thank you.
Please.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And let me come straight to the question.
Yes.
Professor Saab, what we have seen is lately that even government organizations and even politicians, they have become quite active in the social media, and they are responding to the different perceptions that is being created. However, in case of public sector companies, we see a lot of conversation in the public discourse, and many of those conversations are in social media as well, like should privatization be done or not. And there are counter opinion from both sides. But I have not seen so far any concerted effort from the public sector forum or maybe public sector companies to counter these kind of a narrative and to give their narrative on the table, to have a healthy discussion. While government is able to do that by creating their social media handle and the Twitter account, why can't why can't public sector companies with so many employees supporting so many families, why can't they have their own set of brand ambassador to counter or maybe put their perspective on the table? Thank you.
You are right. In fact, I gave this in my talk also, that public sector has not been able to create that impression that it is really getting under those minds. And it is doing the job which private sector cannot. You have rightly, the examples have been given about airport authority and about a lot of, particularly in public utilities, if you find private sector has almost failed everywhere in the world. And you see some of the biggest public utility enterprises in Europe, United States of America, in all advanced countries, they are under government. Government is directly owning and operating them. So there are certain areas which are so important for the public, and there you cannot rely on private sector to deliver the result. And some of the examples you have given here. As far as disinvestment, you have seen, government has tried many times in this country, but what has been the percentage of amount that they have been able to realize through disinvestment? Disinvestment process is to some extent desirable also, I should say. If you send say shares of the companies to the general public as such, What is happening in disinvestment in this country? You are selling it to the LIC, you are selling it to other government financial institutions, those shares, and ultimately the things are remaining in your control. It's not real disinvestment. And the money is coming from one source of the government to another source of the government. The real disinvestment will be if you give shares to the public at large. Let some enterprises be owned by a large number of people in this country. That will of course be a real disinvestment, and you can say that you have decentralized the whole process and so on and so forth. But in corporate world, these things are not going to happen so easily, and the management will become pretty difficult if you disinvest like that. Either you denationalize altogether, you sell out, as they are trying, for instance, in case of Air India, and they are not able to sell Air India for such a long time. The process, I think, is going for years. Previous governments have also tried many times at the why Air India has failed, or why Air India is underperforming. If I say that our policy makers themselves are responsible for it, then it will not be exaggeration. If a minister has to travel by Air India, the Air India will wait for 1 hour. The flight will not go in time. And the entire, the people who are waiting for a flight, they will be just sitting idle, they can't do it. The seats are changed of the passengers in the Air India. If some VIP comes and he has to be given a seat, some simple gentleman will be told, and it has happened with me, I tell you once. 3 times I was made to change my seat in Air India in one flight. And the reason was that some VIPs came and their families came and they have to adjust it. So they disturbed a large number of, passengers giving seat to those, giving window seats and other seats to people who came with the minister as such. Can you run an enterprise like this?
All right.
These are the things which we have to see, that government interference, too much interference is very bad. In fact, I remember one of the eminent scholars in management has once said about public sector, that when a minister rises in the morning, he should take an oath that he will not interfere in the day-to-day affairs of the public enterprise. Are our ministers ready for this? Are they ready to give full hand to the top people whom they themselves appoint?
तो वैसे तो घोड़ा अगर घास से दोस्ती करेगा तो खाएगा क्या? Right. Thank you very much. I know that professors एक subject को पकड़ लेते हैं, so then they go into the depth of it. I appreciate your conviction and commitment to answering the question. Thank you very much, Professor Saab. उमेश मेहता जी has raised a very appropriate question. हर अंधेरी रात के बाद एक उजाले की उम्मीद होती है. Over to Umesh Mehta, you can ask your question.
I am really blessed, or it's a pleasure for all of us to hear you, to listen to your wonderful talk, or rather I can say the discourse. I have a very simple question as a layman, that is after this pandemic, the role of the PSUs to bring back our economy. We have a lot of hopes, aspirations. So will the sun of our India be bright, or again we will in the dark? The role of the PSUs after this pandemic.
No, the role of PSU is not going to be reduced by this pandemic, I think. Because in fact, pandemic, the private sector will be more shy to invest in the things where it is needed after this pandemic is over also. And government will have to come up with the money, with the investment, and do it itself. And if the government has to invest it, then that means obviously it has to invest in public sector. So a lot of new developments which are going to come up in post-COVID area, there also public sector will have a greater role than private sector, I tell you. Because private sector का मूल मंत्र प्रॉफिट है, और जो जिन एक्टिविटीज से इमीडिएट प्रॉफिट होगा उनको उसमें वो अपने पैसे लगाएंगे. And
that is why I think the role of the PSUs. In fact, we are very much hopeful and we are looking forward towards these PSUs. Yes. I think PSUs can do something much better and can bring back as soon as possible the economy back.
Yes, the PSUs, for instance, all those things which are required in course of pandemic. in their manufacturing. They have to come up very sharply, and they have to be cost conscious and provide things. For instance, say for instance, if some vaccine comes up, the public sector undertaking in pharmaceutical field, they should be ready for that, and they should try to give it at the minimum possible cost to the public as such. Or other things which are going to build up infrastructure for health in future. Those type of things also public sector should come up and start manufacturing those things. Because if you choose up some areas and you put the proposal with the government and also about the cost structure that you will be giving, then the government will have to look into as to whether it will be profitable to go through private sector or public sector. There are avenues where public sector can do much better.
I think about public sector, we can fulfill our hopes. I think we are very hopeful and looking forward to by 2021 pandemic, I think, should be over. And again, we will in the same boat, just smiling faces and just a lot of hopes are there. Yes. So we pray a lot, everything should be okay.
Yes, in every crisis, you see the public sector only jumps and does the play the role which is required. And they really bring back the economy. These we have seen in the crisis, any type of crisis, whenever that has come. Even by Professor Lalan Prasad ji had also done some work on this COVID, the steps taken by public enterprises in this period and all that. So undoubtedly, you will always find that public sector is there to help the government, help the economy to come forward.
बोलना चाहूँगा कि जैसे धवन साहब ने बोला कि पब्लिक सेक्टर हमेशा वक्त पे काम आते हैं और जो भी करते हैं, एक बहुत छोटा सा एग्जांपल मैं बोलना चाहूँगा प्रोफेसर ललन प्रसाद जी इसी बात पे कि अभी रिसेंटली जो पैंडेमिक सिचुएशन हुई थी और सारा लॉकडाउन था, तो आप अगर देखिएगा तो सबसे ज्यादा कंट्रीब्यूशन पीएम फंड और ऑल अदर्स एक्टिविटीज में आपको पब्लिक सेक्टर वालों ने ही किया है। जाके पैंडेमिक में ही लोगों के पास जाकर लोगों को, मजदूरों को खाना से लेकर आप हर पब्लिक सेक्टर का आप देख लीजिए, इवन कंट्रीब्यूशन में भी पब्लिक सेक्टर सबसे आगे रहे हैं। तो आप ये कह सकें कि और जितने भी हॉस्पिटल्स भी गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल ही सबसे पहले आए, इंडियन एयरलाइंस ही सबसे पहले आई, ट्रांसमिशन पावर ग्रिड और एनएचपीसी, ये आरईसी, पीएफसी, बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां आ गई। ऑयल सेक्टर में इंडियन ऑयल, भारत पेट्रोलियम्स, हिंदुस्तान पेट्रोलियम्स, ये सारी कंपनियां आगे आई, एयरपोर्ट अथॉरिटी। मतलब मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ, आई जस्ट वांट टू से वन थिंग कि व्हेनेवर everyone is required, then public sector comes. I could not find the proper private sector have come except the Tata and all very few companies. Even they have a more capital banks also, but they have not spent too much money, which if you can compare their turnover and profit. But when you compare with the public sector undertaking, they have donated and they have contributed generously to the masses and to the people, to the country, to the state, to the governments.
This is because of the motive of the public sector.
इवन पीएसयू के यूनियन ने भी बहुत एक्टिवली पार्टिसिपेट किया हुआ है हर एक जगह पर, हर एक क्राइसिस में किट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन होगी या मास्क डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन होगा या ऐसी कुछ भी, मतलब ग्राउंड वर्क जिसको बोलते हैं, वो पीएसयू के एम्प्लॉइज ने किया हुआ है।
जी So Saksham, because there is a system working in the government, and system always succeeds. So that's okay. Thank you very much. So now time is a constraint now. Keeping the time in mind, the next question will go to L.R. Bansal ji. And before I invite you, Bansal ji, Deepa ji, I think your question was covered in the question of Dinesh ji, and I hope that you agree that question has been answered. And this will be the last question, and then we will coming up to the closing remarks by our chairman Naresh Kumar ji is there. So over to Bansal ji. Please ask your question.
First of all, I thank Mr. Naresh Kumar for associating me and giving me a chance to participate in this webinar. I come to the basic question on which this discussion was today held. That is how to increase the communication, a better communication, and how to be transparent organization. Like in Power Grid, our PR department is issuing a communique every month, giving the details of what works we are taking up, CSR, not only CSR, other works also which we are doing as a whole in Power Grid, but innovative, but new works, new challenges, how we are meeting. Likewise, this is an era of RTI. Lot many doubts, lot many questions are being put to the public sector, and in the field, officers who are working and taking decisions, they are scared of taking decision because of RTI, that somebody will put us a tough RTI and we may have to go for answers. So if we publish all these information and data on our websites, we are having very powerful website like in Power Grid. RTI also says that whatever question is raised by a common person, its reply should be published on the website, so that similar doubts, similar queries don't come or are reduced. But most of the PSUs are hiding those information. They are scared of publishing the details on the website. If these are transparently published in details, then these problems will be lessened, and public will be aware of what PSUs are contributing and how much contribution they are making in the crisis period. That is my submission.
Right.
ठीक है, 1 मिनट में लूंगा.
Okay.
देखिए, आप लोगों ने जो कहा बिल्कुल ठीक कहा. I have gone through the reports of public enterprises, the job they have done during COVID period, and it's a marvelous job. लेकिन इसकी पब्लिसिटी नहीं हुई. प्राइवेट सेक्टर में अगर कंपनी थोड़ा सा भी काम करती है तो इतने बड़े बड़े एडवर्टीजमेंट अखबारों में आ जाते हैं और वो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस हो जाती है और लोगों को कहा जाता है कि बहुत बड़ा काम किया, और आप इतना बड़ा काम करते हैं, आपकी कंपनियां, पब्लिक को पता ही नहीं चलती कि आपने क्या किया. तो ये चीज पब्लिक में आनी चाहिए, और इट इज हियर दैट कम्युनिकेशन स्ट्रेटेजी ऑफ पब्लिक सेक्टर इज लैकिंग. इफ यू आर डूइंग गुड जॉब, it's a time that you must publicize that good job also in a manner that you are understood in public that what you have done.
Yeah,
and I think that is the way we have to go ahead to see our strategy works.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
One minute. Mr. Hindwan is there. You see, we had formed public sector public relation forums. And there we were looking after the interest of public sector enterprises, and the PR of people of public enterprises were joining hand and taking up the issues as well as the programs concerning public relations. I think we really need to revive such a forum again, so that the public sector enterprises or even under public sector public relation society which we have, under that we can have if scope is not able to take up the job, then certainly the public relation persons will have to form their own group and take up the job. So that is really required at the moment, which I feel.
Okay, Dhawan Sahab, I agree with you, and firstly I must say, Lalan Prasad ji, it was a very informative lecture which I listened.
Thank you.
And I have an experience of working in a private sector also, country's best private sector alliance. I have the experience of working with NTPC, one of the best organization in the power sector. And I have the experience of working with Government of India earlier as the assistant field advisor in literacy movement. So while I found you are saying that private sector is doing exceedingly well in press and media, I don't agree with you that in public sector we people are not doing good work. Organizations like power sector, NTPC, Power Grid, ONGC, energy sectors, Indian Oil, BPCL, they are doing extremely well, and they are very well covered also. That's why the government's eyes is also upon them, that how to take out their money for disinvestment. You must be understanding that. So you can give us more views on that, but at the same time, second part, which our Dhawan Sahab has said, I have offered this to many people to take over the public sector, public forum, so that I will suggest that Naresh Kumar also can take this, or your team can also take this, because they have fund also around 3-4 lakh rupees that can be utilized properly. And somebody should take, young people, not we people. They should take it over.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hindwan sir is always very generous. So, good. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Hindwan sir. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Now, time we are already crossed, and then generally we finish on time. But I knew that today's subject is very special, and this being a semi-holiday, we can afford to have some extra time. That's why okay. And thanks everybody who is present. We were not able to take name of everybody. Ashish Styles have joined subsequently, and some other faces have joined subsequently, which we couldn't identify initially. And now I will request Naresh ji to give the closing remarks, and everybody is aware of Naresh ji for the reference of some new joinee and for the referencing to Professor Saab. Mr. Naresh heads the public relations in Power Grid, and that's the reason you know that how powerful is the power of Power Grid. So, and then he also heads the Public Relations Society Delhi. And when he came and when he took up this body, and a sort of a force or a soul was inducted in the dead body. So now the vibration of that body is visible. It from child it has taken the almost adolescence. So the body has brought so many flagship programs, and Samvad is another one. But banyan tree flavor you have seen, sir. And why I'm mentioning this that because looking at your profile, looking at your association, and looking at your passion, we would like to continue with you in a longer journey. So we will be taking your wisdom further, Professor Saab, in our more projects and useful things, because many people have got high hopes from the body, and we will use your resources for that. And Naresh ji is everybody, for your information also, he is an alumni of IIMC, and he is a medalist. Wherever he has moved, he has got the medals, right? And there was a time over the last 10, 15 years, every year he used to get one award. So now there is no award which can be given to him. So we are working out how to go out. For the last 2, 3 years, there's no award which is not gone to him. So over to Naresh ji. Thank you very much for everything. Right, over to Naresh ji.
Thank you, Baba sir. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. And especially a big thanks you to Dr. Lalan Prasad sir for a highly informative and engaging session with all our esteemed members and guests today. Your wide and rich experiences dates back to the era when public sector was established, and you have beautifully crafted the outlines of the concept of communications, especially when the public sector's bonds. And today, because I have been working here the last 27, 28 years, and I born and brought up with my all legends like P.D. Hindwan sir, J.P. Dhundial sir, Dhawan sir, Babaji. So today I listen from you how the public sector's bonds. So it was a really great experience for me, and especially for the young professionals who recently joined these public sector organizations. I would like to acknowledge the initiative of our team, governing body, for organizing flagship Banyan Tree series of PR Society Delhi, which Baba sir has already apprised, which is about sharing the best of the knowledge from legend like you and top professional of the society. Sir, we have infused this thought and action for enlightenment of knowledge of the society under Banyan Tree concept of Lord Buddha. Revered Saga monk and philosopher Gautam Buddha had attained enlightenments under the Bodhi tree and spread wisdom among us the public in older times. People used to sit under this vast tree and learn various life lessons. Our society follow the same philosophy and sincerely believe in the development of the profession and outlook and dissemination of knowledge, as we are keen to invest in the future of our members. And in the same spirit of your session, I was really fruitful and enlightenment all of the professional members of our society and guests. We are happy that you took out time to be a part of this novel initiative for enlightenment of knowledge of our team members. I would like to special mention our guides and governing body member Shri K.N. Dhawanji for stepping up and contacting you for this session today. It yet again speaks highly of his keen sight for quality and great dedication and professionalism toward the society. I am also thankful to the society governing body members for the support, and thanks for our always positive Vice Chairman Dr. H.S. Paul, Dynamic Secretary Shri S.S. Rao, Guiding Force Joint Secretary Shri Sarvesh Tiwari, inspiring Treasurer. He's not well right now. He's in the hospital. He's in the ICU. We are missing him. Shri J.P. Sharma ji, my younger boy Akshat Chopra and Tanvi Singles, and our both are the PRO in Power Grid and REC respectively. And our program, our lovable program director Shri G.S. Baba, he has wonderfully coordinating this program and handle it professionally. I would also like to thank you, my guru, my teachers, and my veterans, Shri J.P. Dhondial ji, former head PR TSDC, K.N. Dhawan Saab, former head PR Scope, Shri Rajat Gupta, our young MD Response Consultancy Private Limited, and the ever sportive Shri Jitendra Bakshi, Director Panchtata Communication. These are our small team, they are family members. I special thanks to Jairam sir, our Dhawan sir, our Hindwan ji, our Umesh Mehta ji, and our Suresh Gaur ji, and all other members who have come, and veterans, especially Sajid Bhai from Indian Oil, and Abhay Kumar Singh, NHPC, Head of Corporate Communication, who have also joined there, and all other my friends. I would like to extend my thanks to each one of you and participating in this program, especially to all students connecting from GD Goenka University, Makhanlal Chaturvedi University, VIPS, Jamia, Admas University, and other university also, Lakeview Universities, and Shobha Madam from Nagpur. She is a professor of Lakeview University, Bhopal. And I also ask you all to be ready for another program in coming weeks, which will happen on the same platform with new speakers and topics. Thank you very much for your presence.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Naresh ji. Very well worded closing remarks. Thank you, everybody. And pardon me for crossing the time limit. Generally, I had kept 5:15. We will close. It is 5:23. And at the cost of some better wisdom, we can afford few minutes extra. And thank you very much. And then look forward to your continuous support and continuous encouragement in our future program.
I missed Mr. Dinesh ji name. Sorry, Dinesh ji. I especially thanks to Dinesh ji also. He's also veteran.
Right. Dinesh ji kahan chale gaye? Nominate 30% private sector. Okay, right, good.
Thank you.
We place on record. We place on record the compliments of everybody. Thank you, Professor Saab, once again, and look forward to your more encouraging wisdom.
We can give a standing ovation to Professor Lalan Prasad ji. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Professor Saab. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.